There are two Christianities. The one that most people know about and the other one that nobody knows about, except for a few people. The one that nobody knows about is the one that Jesus taught his disciples. He veiled it in parables. He kept saying throughout the New Testament, those that have eyes to see, let them see. Those that have ears to hear, let them hear. Because if he came out directly with the real truth, it's not very popular. People don't want to know the truth. Do you want it flat out? They do not. For all their pretenses in religion, and that includes the ministers, the priests, the rabbi, they really don't want to. Because if they did, and if they taught it, they would clear out their congregations because nobody would need them. The real truth was that Christ taught the process of going within. Why seekest God over here, over there? I say unto you, the kingdom of heaven is within you. There is no stress and emphasis in traditional Christianity. You won't hear it. Go to any traditional Christian church and ask them, why don't you talk about this thing about being within? And most will look at you, because they've been to seminary school where they didn't talk about it either, with a blank stare. Now, there are some that know about it, but those that know about it keep their lips zippered, because if they did let it out, first of all, the average person doesn't want truth. It breaks up the reality of the myth of humanness. It puts us into a higher plateau. And what happens when you go into a higher plateau of life? You accept more responsibility. And the one thing that people don't want on this earth plane is responsibility. Nobody wants to be responsible for anything except for a few souls that come along and are the way showers and the models for every generation. And so the idea is, to see beyond is to look within. And what happens when we look within? Like the children, we take a few moments, we learn how to meditate, and when we learn how to meditate, the inner part of our forehead, the inner part of our head area becomes like a looking glass, very simply. We see into that looking glass. We see beyond our intellect because we begin to pick up images, shapes, forms, scenes, realities that are over and beyond oftentimes what our intellect can conceive. It goes beyond the wildest of our imaginations and our dreams. A person begins to see into heavenly realms, heavenly celestial areas of consciousness. And we begin to realize that we can exist simultaneously in many, many different forms and shapes while we're still within the physical body. And we then get into a concept of multiple personalities, multiple existences, multiple states of beingness. If you wonder, as an example, what happens when a person is in a state of mind where they are overcome by their unconscious, i.e. they become psychotic, they can be in some type of what appears to be to the psychiatrist in some type of a fantasy world, whereas another one of their multiple selves has really kicked in, is now occupying the entirety of the person's beingness. We learn that we can exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Now, when I start to say that, I mean I would lose 999 out of 1,000 people. They would think I'm goofy or whatever. That's why Jesus knew you better keep it zipped, and you better speak in parables, and you better not say too much. Otherwise, they won't be able to understand you. They'll think you're foolish. And it becomes down to the thing, that if you say the truth, they'll render you and trample you under their feet. So what I'm talking about here is just for a few people. That's all. Literally for a few people. You want the regular Christianity, go and get it. It's all over the place. But if you want to know the inside means that we don't look to books, we don't look to preachers, we don't look outside of ourselves. We spend time inside of ourselves for a few minutes daily. We look within. We reverse the mind in upon itself, and the mind studies itself. The mind exists on many, many different levels and plateaus of energy and consciousness simultaneously. And according to, if we're not trying to force anything, if we just put ourselves in this position to receive, according to what we're ready to receive, we will receive. In other words, there can be various means, techniques, methods, and so forth to enter into a higher state of consciousness. Yet, what I find is that the majority of people that are teaching this and writing books on it do not know their front from their behind. It's very, very simple. One creates some form of fiction. Another one comes along, copies them. Two people have written it. A third one comes along and says, well, if these two are saying it, it must be true, writes another one. And so the market is flooded with books about chakras and so forth, that anybody that has really experienced these higher states of consciousness just smiles and said, my God, this is out of control, because it's stupidity.